Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Want to do a little weekend roundup. A, rounding up for the weekend, and then B, what's happening this week. So first car is the Losi. As some of you have seen some of the most recent videos, we did race this at Moore last night. Had a pretty good time, but I think we can make this thing better. So JC Racing long arms are in LA. I don't know how they get from the United Kingdom to LA and not just to Denver, but go to LA and then come back. Say just going to New York to Denver or Chicago to Denver. Anyway, they should be here probably around Wednesday, it looks like, because it's usually 3 days from California to get anything there. So the other thing I'm going to do is I am going to replace all the steering ball cranks because we have those and they're the updated version. And then I did order all the bearings last night because the front ones don't feel bad, but I don't think it's going to hurt to put new bearings in the front spindles, new bearings in the hubs, as well as a couple in the transmission. Because there's only, I think I needed 3 sizes. The front spindles in the transmission are the same, and then there's some bigger ones for the outdrives, and then the rear hubs kind of have their own. So we're gonna get that taken care of, and just go through the thing. And like I said, I'm gonna probably, I do have new ball cups, so I'm gonna replace those. Work with the steering a little bit just to get that adjusted, adjust some of the front geometry of the suspension to see if we can get just a little bbit better steering out of this. And I think we'll be in good shape there. So I've been consulting my Losi manual on parts. Did find some front wheels for $12. White, brand new on eBay. So I ordered those. I am waiting on to see rears. The cheapest rears I could find so far are like $35. So we may have to bite the bullet and get those because the tires we have are getting pretty haggard. So I would like to get some new J-Concept Smoothie 2 Silvers on there. So if I can get those rims, I can get new ones on this, and I can get a new set of Arski 10 wheels and put those on whatever. So the next car, let's switch them out here. The B3. The B3 needs nothing. This thing is an ass kicker. So don't really have much for this. Brought it back, cleaned it up. Went through everything. Everything seems to be pretty good on it as far as shimming and stuff. So not really anything needed there. I'm going to look through my spare parts, but I don't think I really need anything. I have spare inner mounts. I have spare front and rear arms. I have spare caster blocks and spindles. I have a whole spare steering assembly. I got a spare top deck. I have a spare shock tower. I don't have a spare rear, but I do have spare wing mounts, so I don't think I'll need them though. So I'm leaving this thing. I think this thing is good to go for the vintage race happening on the 17th. And so I am preparing all 4 of these cars. We're gonna take them. I already got people pieing which car they're gonna run. So onto the fan. Some people feel bad for the fan. Like this is the redheaded stepchild of our vintage collection, and I don't want the fan to feel that way. I mean, it does have some Deoc hubs and some cool stuff. So J-Concepts, the steering rack came in at J-Concepts. I did order a black one. So I'm going to upgrade the steering rack. I'm going to do the Unilink in the middle. So just the solid Unilink to, there's no play in this thing, but I am going to upgrade this and, give the fan a little love. It deserves it. I mean, it's a good car. It's going to be defending its crown here on the 17th for the fastest vintage car at Moore. So we're going to get that steering solidified there. We'll get rid of the turnbuckle and the ball cups and just run the Unilink. Get the J-Concepts on there, and I think we're good to go. Other than that, the shocks are refreshed and ready to go. They weren't leaking. I just put new oil in them. Obviously got our adjusters in, so made that look trick. So we showed the fan graphite a little love. So we'll get this thing ready to defend its crown here on the on the 17th. So I think that thing is good to go. Last, but definitely not least, the Cougar. So I already know Mel's offered to run this, so he's a big Schumacher guy. And actually, someone said this in the comments, and now it kind of makes a lot of sense. I'm gonna try to have Associated guys run the Associated stuff. I'm gonna try to find a Losi guy to run the Losi. Perhaps Larry Doe. We'll see. And then Mel, who is a big Schumacher guy, runs a Cougar. And more importantly, he ran, he runs an LD3. And Mel's about my same skill level. I think all in all together, we're about the same. I think, A, that's cool that we're about the same skill level. B, he just ran his Cougar on the track, and you're going to get a comparison of how much better are the newer cars. And I think Mel can run this, and I think he's going to do pretty well with this thing. So we're going to put it in his hands and let him run it and see what we got there. But we'll see. Can the Cougar, get the 22 laps or whatever, close to what a modern 21.5 is running. Mel ran a 23 at a 5:13 last night. So just got into the 23s with his Cougar LD3. And I think the rest of the rounds he might have ran 22. Maybe just to bring it home. Who knows? But I think, like I said, it'd be cool. A, Mel's about, like I said, the same driver skill level as me. B, he's run Schumacher, so I think it's cool that he will be running a Schumacher, and we can get a good comparison, not only driver comparison that's comparable to me and my skill level, but also someone comparing a top-of-the-line Cougar, the newest model, versus this guy that's 30 years old model. So, and just see how much of a difference it is. Like I said, the electronics and everything are there, so I don't think it's going to, that's not going to be a huge advantage, but we'll see mechanically how the car can do. The parts for this are showing up, so I did kind of hard to see, but we do have our carbon steering link in there, and that's nicer, and no play in that thing, so that's good. Tighten that up. We have the aluminum battery posts, and I love how Schumacher did this. They did these goddamn battery posts for a shorty lipo that damn near no one runs. And I wish they would have made a shorty battery post and a regular battery post. But you have to buy the shorty battery post, and then you buy the shim, and then we ordered the brace as well. So I ordered the battery post, those came in. Couldn't install them because I didn't realize you need the shim. I ordered the shim. That's coming like the 7th, so a bunch of parts coming in for Wednesday for these cars. So I'll get the aluminum battery posts in, the shims in, and then we'll get the chassis brace kit in because that is coming as well. And should be in good shape with the Cougar. So the Cougar should be ready to go. Refresh the shock bottoms and everything in there. So all new fluid. So Mel's going to get a little bit of a track queen here. She's good to go. And I checked my spare parts and stuff and got enough spare parts for anything. So should be in good shape there. So Cougar, good to go. But like I said, the fan's good to go. A couple parts coming for that, which should arrive. Just ordered those from GoFast. So GoFast will be sending those out quick, I'm sure, and getting those to us. So J Concepts order is already in because I had to order some wheels, and then I saw that the bell cranks were in. So ordered a bell crank, felt that was a worthy upgrade for the fan. And like I said, to defend her title, give her a little extra love. So we'll show the fan a little extra love, get that in there, get that installed, take the plastic ones out. Because I did break, that's the only thing I've really broken is I did break one of those on our long arms by just clipping a pipe. And I thought the ball cup would have popped off, but apparently not. Because that's how good fan ball cups are. And I already got a full black set for our Brian Kinwald that ships out this month as well. So already stacking parts up for the Kinwald to get that as well. So when that comes in, I hate to do another RC10 shootout, but maybe we'll do the Kinwald versus the fan and see what is really the, the best RC10 platform out there. We know it's not the team car. The fan car is above the team car. But I do want to give the Losi some love. So we're going to go through this. Like I said, I'm going to refresh this a little bit more. Did get parts ordered. Those are on the way. And we should be in good shape. Like I said, I ordered all the bearings last night from Amazon, getting those in. Some sets arrived today, and the rest should be here Wednesday. And we'll get those in there. So I want to just make sure everything's rolling smooth on this thing, and then we are gonna update, replace probably the ball cups. I don't know if the steering needs to be, but we'll tear it all apart and just make sure it's good to go. So we'll get that done. But if anyone knows of anyone besides like Dragon Punch or Factory Works that's producing Losi parts, and obviously JC Racing with the arms, but when I went on JC Racing's website, that was the only thing in stock was the arms, so I bought like 3 sets. But if you know anyone that's producing stuff for the Double X, let me know, because it's one of those things, like we'll probably race it at the vintage race and then it's going to get shelved. You can't really rebuild the diff, I don't think. I don't think there's a diff rebuild kit. Obviously the balls are available, but the rings and stuff and the outdrives are pretty expensive to get, I think. Along, I think, with any of the spur gears. So after the vintage race, I might be a little hesitant to run this. Plus, by that time, the Kinwald will be coming in and stuff. So we'll see. But it would be nice for someone to continue to produce parts for this, because I do think there is a market. And like I said, I got to eat my words a little bit. That car performed a lot better than I thought it would. It needs, it's really weird because it would push, it was kind of pushing. And I felt like I was not getting on it as soon as I was like my fan graphite or even my B3. But I mean, the stopwatch says different. Stopwatch says it was a faster car. So, and I made more mistakes with that than I did my B3, and it was still a faster car. So it's kind of got me perplexed a little bit, is, if you could really dial in the steering, at least for me, right? If I could get it set up for me a little bit better, which I do want more steering on it, more front end feel, because, my fan graphite and my B3 are that way. The B3 is probably just taking a little getting used to. Like I said, the track layout, that was the first time I ran it. And then I was back, and it's easier to get up to speed the second time around. Even though I didn't do much practice with the Losi, I just kind of set it out there and threw it. And like I said, it did fairly well, and it did surprise me that it was on pace as good as it was, because I felt like I was making a ton of mistakes or just a ton of driving errors, and that my lap times were slower. And like I said, that's why we go out and we race these things, because the stopwatch says all, right? So, we'll run it at the vintage race. And like I said, hopefully we can keep this thing moving, and stack up on some parts. But, parts are getting expensive. I'm hoping, like I said, someone starts reproducing parts that we can help keep the cost down on a Losi. I think it'd be kind of ironic that we know Associates coming out with like a B2, B3. They gotta be. And Fan is producing it. I mean, that car was all rebuilt with fan stuff, right? It's got a fan chassis, front and rear arms, hubs, carriers, spindles. The transmission we rebuilt, that's really the only thing we needed. The shock towers or Factory Works. Put the big bores on it. Fan reproduces the bell crank. I'm using the original one, and I'm keeping the fan as a spare. They reproduce the front brace, the front bulkhead. They reproduce all that. So you can damn near put a B2, B3 together from fan parts. If you could really just find a transmission, which there are a number of them on eBay, you're probably paying $80, $90 for a decent one. And then you got to find like a rear plate. So I hope someone makes a rear T-plate for that thing, because mine's pretty scratched up and I'd like to get one when I eventually retire and shelve that thing. But that car's pretty sweet. I like running that car. for the time I did, because like I said, it was really weird because it was kind of told someone it was like a lazy boy. It was, it was easy to drive. It did everything I wanted. It just didn't feel fast. It just kind of felt sluggish, but like I said, it turned the lap times. The Losi felt a lot more like on edge, but it felt faster. But then, like I said, it improved the lap times a little bit. So like I said, right now it's got a 2-second advantage over the B3 on the same track. But I guess the question begs, well, if I would have ran the Losi first and the B3 different, second, would the B3 have been faster? Because I got that much more practice on the track. And I think that's a fair comparison. But like I said, the only thing I think we can do is throw these things down on track, let guys run them in a competitive environment. Because going out there and doing lap times, I don't think is, I mean, you can get some screamers with these, and I think you really have to put them in a race situation. With traffic, 5 minutes, all that stuff. I think that's the only way to do a fair comparison, and that's what we do on this channel, is race our vintage cars and do that comparison. So these will all be on track on the 17th, and I know Wednesday night, the 13th, 14th, whatever, that's another vintage night too. So I may see what we got. Maybe I'll take the fan, because I mean the fan is all redone. I should have the J Concepts bell crank by then. And look for separate videos on like damn near all these this week, except the B3. There's nothing on the B3 because it's done. Fan graphite, we're gonna put the bell crank in, the Unilink, and maybe take that to more on Wednesday. Cougar is done for the most part, just waiting on the battery strap to come in, and we'll have kind of a follow-up on that. And these videos will all kind of be videos of, the pre-vintage race, hey, this is how they're set up, this is what we're taking, and all be all. And then the Losi will probably be a continuing thing. We'll get the arms in and the bearings and stuff, I think, by Wednesday, and start going through this thing. So we'll have some content on each one of these cars this week, just to kind of get them up to speed, get them refreshed, and get them prepped for the big vintage race on the 17th. So again, guys, like, comment, subscribe down below. We'll see you on the next one.